Now, the 5 different styles of charisma are based on personality traits that make people drawn to you. And if you look up the definition of charisma in the dictionary, it's something that inspires devotion. And there are, of course, things that are not directly tied to a personality that can inspire devotion. If you think of Instagram models, you might not know anything about their personality, but they might have 20, 50 million followers. People are devoted to them, but it's usually because of their beauty. There's other people who have devotion based on athletic prowess, based on status, fame, money. All of these things can inspire devotion. When we're thinking about charisma, though, I'm thinking about personality traits that inspire devotion. So it's not necessarily how someone looks or what they have or the status or the access that they can get. It's the type of way that they are and that the people around them feel. So when I've looked across all of the breakdowns that I've done, I've seen that there are really 5 different types, and I can talk about the different types of people that are in one. You can see which of these tends to connect most with you, and I will do that now. The first one is energetic. This is the person that has high energy. And in fact, when you're thinking about these charismatic types, it's not that it's one is completely separate from the other. People often have some sort of hodgepodge of 2 or 3 of these, and this is by far the most common across all charismatic people. They are high energy, they are positive. We talked about being fun in the beginning of this entire week. This is really the baseline level of what that means. And if you think of someone like Will Smith, if you think of a lot of people who can come on and captivate a room, a stage, tell a story in a gregarious way, Jamie Foxx comes to mind, The Rock comes to mind. There's a lot of people who have this high energy. That is going to be what defines their charisma. So that's just one style. The second style is authenticity. This is a style that is based on telling the truth. Sometimes it's a hard truth. Sometimes it's being emotionally vulnerable. Sometimes it's sharing your achievements in a comfortable and confident way. And you can think of, for this, I did a video on Adele, who is very, very authentic. Joe Rogan, he will say how he is feeling to other people. I've watched videos of Pete Davidson. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he talks about his mental health issues very, very casually almost. Like he is not trying to make you feel a certain way about him. And that is what defines the person who is high in authenticity. They're not necessarily trying to get a particular reaction out of the person that they're with. They're much more concerned in sharing their truth. So that's the second style of charisma. The third style is connection. Now you might think of Mother Teresa, Gandhi, Oprah Winfrey, even Bill Clinton. It was said that when he would speak to someone and he looked at you, you felt like you were the only person in the room. And what connection is not just person to person. Connection can be when somebody connects you to something greater than yourself. So a lot of spiritual, religious leaders have done this. Elon Musk has done this. He is not traditionally charismatic by many standards. And it's not simply that he's so smart. It's that the missions that he has picked, particularly SpaceX, which is one that seems to captivate the minds of people, that connects them to something much more inspiring and greater than their day-to-day life. And for that reason, he has that devoted following. So that's another thing. And again, these are not mutually exclusive with one another. I'm just putting sort of the cornucopia of different styles that you can pick from and mix and match. The fourth one is conviction. This is the type of person that believes in themselves to the hilt. They believe in their product, they believe in their brand, they believe in their country. They are so almost set in their ways. They can border on stubborn. They can sometimes be jerks. You think of Steve Jobs, who didn't necessarily have a reputation as being the nicest boss. Conor McGregor, incredibly high in conviction, believes he's going to win and can look at his opponents to the degree where they think, holy cow, I think he's going to win too. And that's how he gets inside of people's heads. This is something that I had a lot of in my younger life. I'm going to talk a bit more about that, but that is the fourth style, very high conviction, self-belief, and certainty that things are going to turn out a certain way, because people in the world that we live in, where nothing is certain, tend to flock to any idea that feels like this is definitely going to happen. The final style that tends to attract devotion is funny. This is every comedian that you can think of, right? Anybody who has a stand-up special goes in this funny column. And of course, this is something that is peppered in with a lot of different people as well. What this one does is it hammers that first impression point of fun all the way. And these people, again, think of comedians. People want to be around them because the state that they are in when they are near that person is a positive one. So that is what funny does. Now, None of these are necessarily better, none of these are worse, but this is after doing, gosh, I don't know how many breakdowns at this point, and informal breakdowns in my life. These are the 5 things almost anyone that you can point out to me, and I've yet to see an exception, will hit on one of these traits if they are high in charisma. These are almost universal, and I would dare state universal in my experience. If you have someone that you don't think fits this, let me know, and I'll tell you if I think they do fit into this, or if maybe there's certain adjustments that need to be made to this model. But in any event, think which of these hits most to you. That's really what we're working on today. Who have you been? If you haven't been any of these, where would you like to go with this? And what I want to encourage you to realize is that this isn't once and for all. When I was younger, I was incredibly high in conviction. I was certain that the way that I was doing things were the best. And when I talked about how I was going to quit my job and go to Brazil, is with such an insane level of certainty that it was the best way to live, that without even really trying, I think 9 other people quit their jobs, dropped out of college, and moved from all over the East Coast to Rio de Janeiro for 6 months to a year. I mean, it was crazy. Like, there was this palpable magnetism that came from this certainty that I had that this was the way to do things. Now, that was when I was 24. I thought I knew everything, of course, as many 24-year-olds do, and in the next 5 years realized that I didn't know anything, got hit by life, had breakups that were upsetting, things in my life that didn't work out the way that I want, and was forced to reevaluate, do I really know everything? And that's why now I'm more in a mode of being authentic. I was much less likely to talk about things that weren't working when I was high in conviction. It was, no, we don't broker any time for that negative thought. We just need to get the job done, and this is how it's going to be. That was very attractive to people. Now, I'm much less certain about how things are going to turn out, but the realness, the authenticity still can draw people to me. It's not the same exact way, but this is what suits me today. My point in telling you this is that while you might pick one today, I don't want you to think that you are beholden to that. You can try different styles on, and in fact, as you develop as a person, I expect that which of these matters the most to you will shift. And I think that you will probably find that young people tend towards energy, funny, conviction, and then as people tend to mature and get a little bit older, they move towards authenticity, connection, hopefully while keeping the energy and the fun up as well. Just something to keep in mind. In addition, I think it's very important to realize that these traits should not be the end-all, be-all of who you are. Because you can think of just about in every single category, there's somebody in that category who has done something morally reprehensible, or who has maybe been so self-loathing that they might have ended their own life. Simply being funny or authentic doesn't guarantee a good life. It might be a recipe for charisma, but there needs to be more. So in terms of still being a moral human being, in terms of still finding happiness, this is but one element. And I don't want you to think that once you've chosen one of these, that's it. You should just be conviction to the hilt or energy to the hilt, because that's a recipe for being a person who just completely lacks balance and will pay the consequences down the line. This is an aspect of your life, not the totality of it.